Good evening. Welcome. Tonight we gently journey together on a path of inner calm and ancient insight. Zen Buddhism invites us to explore the profound concepts of emptiness and non-duality, revealing a deeper peace within. If your spirit feels moved, please share the country you are listening from and what time it is where you are. This is a sanctuary for quiet growth, designed to soothe your mind and awaken your spirit. Here, you can simply rest, breathe, and allow these words to guide you inward. The wisdom you seek already resides within. We are merely remembering what is always present. Should these reflections resonate deeply, feel free to return whenever you need this moment of tranquil connection. Subscribe to keep this peaceful harbor close. Now, take a gentle breath and simply be here. The empty bowl. Tonight, we begin our exploration of Zen wisdom with a fundamental concept, often misunderstood, yet profoundly liberating: emptiness. In Zen, emptiness, or sunyata, is not a void or an absence, but rather a dynamic fullness, an infinite potential, and the very ground of all existence. It signifies that nothing possesses a fixed, independent self or essence, but instead arises in dependent relation to everything else. This understanding invites us to perceive the world not as a collection of separate, solid things, but as an interconnected, ever-changing dance of phenomena, all infused with the boundless possibility that emptiness represents. Let us open our minds to this perspective, allowing it to gently reshape our perception of reality. Our story unfolds on a dusty path under the relentless midday sun, where a weary traveler named Kaito walked. His throat was parched, his lips cracked, and his spirit flagged under the oppressive heat that seemed to press down from the vast, cloudless sky. For what felt like endless hours, he had sought refuge, a place to rest his aching feet and quench his burning thirst. But the unforgiving landscape offered little comfort, only dry bushes and cracked earth. The air shimmered with heat, creating optical illusions in the distance, and the only sound was the rhythmic crunch of his own sandals on the dry earth, a testament to his solitary journey. Hope began to wane as he scanned the horizon, seeking any faint sign of water or a shaded dwelling. His focus narrowed intensely to his immediate physical discomfort, making the entire world seem vast, indifferent, and utterly unwelcoming. Just as the heavy cloak of despair began to settle firmly upon his shoulders, Kaito spotted a small, humble hermitage nestled peacefully beneath a cluster of ancient gnarled trees, their branches reaching towards the sky like wise old arms. A thin wisp of smoke curled lazily from its modest chimney, a comforting sign that promised human presence and perhaps the solace he so desperately craved. With a surge of renewed vigor, a fresh spark of hope in his tired eyes, he approached the dwelling, his heart quickening with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. At the simple wooden entrance, an old Zen master, Master Kenji, sat peacefully on a worn mat, his eyes closed in what appeared to be profound meditation, utterly undisturbed by the heat or the world around him. Kaito, hesitant but driven by an overwhelming thirst, cleared his throat softly, not wanting to disturb the serene silence. Master Kenji slowly opened his eyes, their depths holding a quiet wisdom, and a gentle, knowing smile graced his weathered face as he calmly gestured for Kaito to sit in the cool, inviting shade beside him. Kaito, his voice raspy and barely able to speak above a whisper, croaked out his desperate plea. "Water, please, master. My throat is so dry, I'm so incredibly thirsty." The master nodded slowly, his movements deliberate and unhurried, embodying a profound sense of peace. He then reached for a simple, unadorned wooden bowl, its surface smooth and polished from years of use, completely clean and empty, and with a quiet grace, handed it directly to Kaito. Kaito looked at the bowl, then back at the master, a deep confusion clouding his weary features. The bowl was undeniably empty. His already parched throat felt even drier at the sight, and a visible flicker of disappointment, almost a sense of bewilderment, crossed his face, as he had expected a full vessel brimming with cool, life-giving liquid, not just the container itself. Master Kenji, observing Kaito's lingering bewilderment, spoke in a soft, resonant voice, his words carrying a profound weight. "Here is the water you truly seek, Kaito." Kaito, still holding the empty bowl, stammered, his voice laced with confusion. "But master, it is empty. There is no water within it." The master chuckled gently, a warm, knowing sound. "Indeed, Kaito, and in its very emptiness lies its true purpose, its boundless capacity to hold. If it were already full, how could it possibly receive the water you crave? Its emptiness is its readiness, its potential, its very essence as a perfectly designed vessel, open and receptive." He then, with fluid motion, poured clear, cool water from a nearby earthen pitcher directly into the bowl. Kaito watched, mesmerized, as the water from the pitcher flowed smoothly and silently, filling the once empty space of the bowl, transforming the seemingly useless object into exactly what he needed in that moment. He took a long, deep, and grateful drink, the cool liquid instantly revitalizing his parched body and beginning to clear the haze from his mind. As he drank, Master Kenji continued, his voice a soothing balm. "Just as this bowl's emptiness allows it to receive, so too does the inherent emptiness of all things allow for their very existence, their continuous transformation, and their dynamic interplay. If the bowl were always full, it could never truly receive what is new. It is empty of water, yet simultaneously full of the potential to hold it. It is empty of being a tree, yet profoundly full of being a bowl, ready for its purpose." This simple act, this profound lesson, beautifully illustrates the Zen concept of emptiness, or sunyata. It teaches us that nothing possesses an inherent, fixed self or independent existence. The bowl is not inherently bowlness, existing on its own. It is dependent on the wood it came from, the craftsman who shaped it, its intended purpose, and its essential capacity to hold. Its emptiness means it is open, fluid, and deeply interconnected with everything else around it. It is empty of a permanent, unchanging identity, allowing it to be filled, emptied, and refilled endlessly, adapting to every moment. This perspective challenges our conventional way of seeing the world, where we are often conditioned to categorize and solidify phenomena into separate, independent entities, believing they possess an unchanging core. We frequently cling to rigid ideas of "this is me" or "this is mine," creating invisible but strong boundaries around ourselves and our possessions, where in truth, none truly exist in a fixed sense. Zen wisdom, however, gently invites us to look beyond these often misleading surface appearances, to delve into the deeper, more fluid reality where all things are not only interdependent, but also in a constant state of flux and transformation, much like the water flowing into and out of the bowl, never truly static. The bowl's emptiness, therefore, is not a lack or a void, but rather a dynamic spaciousness, a boundless openness. Through this profound lens of emptiness, we begin to perceive that our own self is similarly not a fixed, unchanging entity, but rather a dynamic and fluid process, a continuous stream of experiences, thoughts, and feelings that are constantly arising, lingering for a moment, and then passing away. Just as the bowl's true nature is its capacity to hold, our true nature is an open awareness, a vast and accommodating spaciousness that can hold all experiences without being rigidly defined, limited, or overwhelmed by them. This liberating realization brings forth a profound sense of freedom, gently releasing us from the often heavy burden of constantly trying to maintain and defend a rigid, separate self, allowing us to simply be. From the simple wisdom of the empty bowl, we learn that true substance lies not in what is contained, but in the boundless capacity to contain, to be open, and to interbe with all that is. This understanding, that form is emptiness and emptiness is form, gently guides us towards a deeper appreciation of the interconnectedness of all life. As the great Buddha taught, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. This ancient teaching reminds us that the perceived solidity of things is inseparable from their fluid, open nature. Now let us consider how this fluid nature extends beyond objects to the very flow of time itself, the river in constant flow. As we gently transition from the concept of the empty bowl, we now turn our attention to another fundamental aspect of Zen wisdom, the impermanence of all things, and how this constant flux reveals the nature of non-self. Just as the empty bowl is always ready to receive new water, life itself is an unending stream of new moments, new experiences, and new forms. Nothing remains static. Everything is in a continuous state of becoming and dissolving. This teaching, known as anicca or impermanence, is not meant to evoke sadness or loss, but rather to awaken us to the vibrant, dynamic, and ever-fresh reality of each present moment. It invites us to release our clinging to what once was or what we wish would be, and instead embrace the beautiful, fleeting dance of existence with open hearts. Our next story takes us to the tranquil banks of a wide, meandering river, where a young, earnest disciple named Akiko often sat. She loved the river deeply, finding solace in its steady current and the predictable shimmer of light on its surface. To Akiko, the river was a constant, a comforting presence in her life, always there, always flowing, always the same beloved river. Each morning, she would greet it with a sense of familiarity, believing that the water she saw today was identical to the water she had seen yesterday, a continuous and unchanging entity that mirrored her own perception of a stable self. She felt a deep connection to this perceived constancy, finding a sense of security in its unchanging nature, much like how we often seek stability in our own identities and experiences. One crisp autumn morning, as Akiko sat by the river, lost in contemplation, her wise old teacher, Master Hiroki, joined her. He sat silently for a long while, simply observing the water's ceaseless movement, his gaze calm and deeply attentive. After some time, he turned to Akiko, a gentle question in his eyes. "Tell me, Akiko," he began, his voice soft as the rustling leaves. "Do you believe this river is the very same river you sat beside yesterday, or even an hour ago?" Akiko, without hesitation, replied, "Of course, Master. It is always the same river. Its banks are here, its path is set, and its waters flow onward, just as they always have. It is my constant companion." Master Hiroki smiled, a knowing warmth in his eyes. He then picked up a smooth, flat stone and tossed it gently into the flowing water, watching the ripples expand and disappear. "Look closely, my dear Akiko," he encouraged, his voice a soft murmur. "The water that touches this bank now, is it the same water that flowed past a moment ago? Each drop, though it appears to be part of a continuous whole, is constantly moving, passing by, and being replaced by new drops from upstream. The river, as a whole, is indeed here, but its essence, its very substance, is in a perpetual state of renewal. It is a flowing, not a fixed thing, a process, not an object, never truly the same from one instant to the next, yet it always appears as the river." Akiko pondered his words, her gaze now fixed intently on the water, seeing it with fresh eyes. She began to notice the subtle differences, the tiny eddies, the fleeting reflections, the ceaseless dance of individual drops merging and separating. The river, which she had always perceived as a solid, unchanging entity, suddenly revealed itself as an intricate, dynamic tapestry of movement, a continuous flow where nothing truly lingered. She realized that while the form of the river remained, its content was in an eternal state of transformation. This insight began to gently loosen her grip on the idea of permanence, not just for the river, but for everything she experienced. Master Hiroki then continued, drawing a profound parallel to their own existence. "And so it is with us, Akiko. We cling to the idea of a fixed self, a permanent me that endures unchanged from moment to moment, from year to year. But are we truly the same person we were yesterday, or even a breath ago? Our bodies are constantly renewing cells. Our minds are a ceaseless stream of thoughts and emotions. Our experiences continually shape and reshape us. Just like the river, we are a continuous process, a flowing of being, never truly static, always becoming something new, always passing through, yet we persist in our narrative of a fixed identity." This teaching directly addresses the concept of anatta, or non-self, in Zen Buddhism. It is not a denial of our existence, but rather an understanding that there is no permanent, unchanging, independent self or soul dwelling within us. What we perceive as self is actually a dynamic aggregation of constantly changing physical and mental phenomena. Our body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Each of these components is impermanent, interdependent, and lacks an inherent fixed essence. The self is like the river, a name we give to a continuous process, a convenient label for a flow of experiences, rather than a solid, unchanging entity. Embracing the truth of anatta can be deeply liberating. When we understand that there is no fixed self to defend, protect, or elevate, much of our suffering, which often arises from attachment to a rigid identity, begins to dissolve. We become more open, more flexible, and more attuned to the flow of life, much like the river itself, which gracefully navigates obstacles by adapting its course rather than resisting. We realize that clinging to a static self is like trying to grasp a handful of river water. It inevitably slips through our fingers, leaving us with an empty hand and a sense of disappointment, when the true beauty is in simply allowing the flow. The wisdom of the river in constant flow teaches us that life is a beautiful, dynamic process of arising and passing away, and that our own existence is an integral part of this grand, ceaseless movement. There is no need to search for a fixed self, for the self is the very flow itself, the ever-changing dance of existence. As the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously said, "You cannot step into the same river twice, for other waters are continually flowing on. This timeless observation perfectly captures the essence of impermanence and non-self, inviting us to release our grip on fixed notions and surrender to the natural current of life. From the continuous flow of the river, we now turn to the unblemished potential that lies within us, untouched by any current or external form. The uncarved block of wood. Having contemplated the ceaseless flow of the river and the impermanence of all things, we now move to a profound Zen teaching that points to our original, untainted nature, the concept of the uncarved block. This powerful metaphor, often attributed to the philosopher Alan Watts, originates from the Taoist concept of piyu, which refers to simplicity, naturalness, and the state of being unadorned. It suggests that before we are shaped by societal expectations, personal experiences, and the myriad of concepts we accumulate throughout life, we possess an inherent wholeness, a pure and complete essence that is perfect just as it is. This original state is not something to be achieved or created, but rather something to be rediscovered, a return to our innate simplicity and freedom, a deep knowing that we are already enough, without needing any external modification. Our story introduces us to a young, eager apprentice woodcarver named Ren, who approached his craft with immense dedication and a desire to create masterpieces. He spent countless hours in the workshop, meticulously shaping, sanding, and polishing, always striving for perfection in every intricate detail. Ren believed that true beauty and value were found in the finished product, in the elaborate designs and smooth surfaces that emerged from his skilled hands. He saw the raw materials, the rough blocks of wood, merely as starting points, formless masses waiting to be transformed by his artistic vision and tireless effort, often overlooking the inherent beauty already present in the unworked timber itself. One serene afternoon, Master Hoshu, a revered Zen master known for his unconventional teaching methods, observed Ren's intense focus. The master approached Ren's workbench, where a large, untouched block of fragrant cedar wood lay, still rough and unrefined. Master Hoshu picked up the block, turning it gently in his hands, feeling its grain and density. He then placed it directly in front of Ren, his gaze steady and profound. "Ren," the master said, his voice soft but clear, "I want you to take this block of wood and do nothing with it." Ren, accustomed to specific instructions and elaborate projects, looked at the master with utter confusion. "Do nothing, master," he repeated, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "But what is its purpose then? How will it become something beautiful if I do not carve it?" Master Hoshu simply smiled, a quiet understanding in his eyes. "Its purpose, Ren, is to simply be this block of wood. Sit with it, observe it, feel its weight, its texture, its natural form. Do not impose your will upon it. Do not envision what it should become. Just let it be, exactly as it is, for a full day." Ren, though perplexed, respected his master deeply and reluctantly agreed. He sat beside the uncarved block, his tools lying idle. At first, his mind raced with ideas of what he could create: a graceful bird, an elegant vase, a sturdy figurine. He felt an almost unbearable urge to pick up his chisels and begin shaping it, to impose order and form upon its raw nature, believing that only through his intervention could its true value be revealed. As the hours slowly passed, and Ren forced himself to simply observe, a subtle shift began to occur within him. He started to notice the intricate patterns of the grain, the subtle variations in its color, the unique knots and imperfections that he would normally try to carve away. He felt the cool, smooth parts and the rough, splintered edges, appreciating each as part of its natural existence. He realized that the block, in its untouched state, possessed a raw, honest beauty, a perfect completeness that required no alteration from his hands. It was not waiting to become something else. It simply was a block of wood, whole and sufficient in its very simplicity, radiating a quiet integrity. By the end of the day, Ren's perspective had profoundly transformed. He looked at the uncarved block not as an unfinished project or a mere raw material, but as a perfect expression of its own nature. He saw that its beauty lay precisely in its lack of artificiality, its freedom from imposed concepts and expectations. This was the essence of the uncarved block, or PU, its inherent worth, its natural state of being, unburdened by external definitions or the need to conform to a preconceived idea. It was a powerful lesson in non-doing, in allowing things to simply be as they are, without the constant need for intervention or improvement. This story serves as a potent metaphor for our own original nature. Before we are told who we should be, what we should achieve, or how we should appear, we are all like the uncarved block, whole, complete, and perfect in our fundamental essence. The world, our upbringing, and our own minds often begin to carve us, imposing labels, roles, and expectations, creating a sense that we are somehow incomplete or flawed, always needing to be improved or changed to fit a certain mold. We learn to strive, to accumulate, to perform, constantly seeking to become something other than what we already are at our core, losing touch with our innate simplicity. Zen Buddhism invites us to remember this original state, this uncarved block within. It encourages us to peel away the layers of conditioning, the concepts, the self-judgments, and the external definitions that we have accumulated over time. It is not about becoming someone new, but about unbecoming all that we are not, returning to the pure, unadorned simplicity of our true self. This return to PU is a path of liberation, a profound realization that our inherent worth and beauty do not depend on external achievements or the approval of others, but reside in our authentic, unadulterated presence, just as we are right now. As Alan Watts, a renowned interpreter of Zen, eloquently articulated, when you get down to it, you are really nothing, and that nothing is everything. This profound statement encapsulates the essence of the uncarved block. In shedding the layers of fixed identity and external definition, we discover not a void, but a boundless, interconnected potential. We are not defined by what we do or what we have, but by the vast, open space of our being. This deep understanding allows us to rest in our natural completeness, free from the endless striving. From the uncarved block, we now turn our attention to the very nature of our mind, exploring how it perceives and reflects the world around us. The mind as a mirror. Following our reflection on the uncarved block and the inherent completeness of our natural state, we now turn our gaze inward to explore the nature of our own mind. In Zen, the mind is often likened to a mirror. It reflects everything that appears before it, without judgment, without attachment, and without becoming stained or altered by the images it reflects. This analogy is crucial for understanding non-duality, as it helps us see that the observer and the observed are not truly separate entities, but rather different aspects of the same seamless reality. When our mind functions like a clear mirror, it simply observes experience as it is, without adding layers of interpretation opinion, or emotional entanglement, allowing us to perceive the world with pristine clarity and a profound sense of interconnectedness. Our story begins with a young, earnest monk named Satoshi, who found himself increasingly troubled by the incessant activity of his own mind. He meditated diligently, seeking stillness and peace, yet his thoughts seemed to multiply, swirling like a restless flock of birds, never truly settling. Satoshi felt as though his mind was a cluttered room, overflowing with memories, worries, plans, and judgments, leaving him little space for the serene clarity he so desperately yearned for. He struggled immensely with this internal chatter, believing it to be an obstacle to his spiritual progress, a constant source of distraction that kept him from experiencing true peace. He frequently voiced his frustrations to his master, describing his mind as full and noisy. One morning, after a particularly challenging meditation session filled with mental turbulence, Satoshi approached his master, Master Ajun, with a heavy sigh. "Master," he confessed, his voice tinged with despair, "my mind feels so full, so utterly crowded with thoughts and emotions. It is like a bustling marketplace, never quiet, never still. How can I ever find true peace or wisdom when my mind is so constantly agitated and overflowing? It feels as though I am always battling against an internal storm, unable to find calm amidst the chaos, longing for a way to empty this incessant stream of mental activity, seeking relief from its relentless demands." Master Ajun listened patiently, a compassionate understanding in his gaze. He then rose and led Satoshi to a quiet corner of the monastery where a large polished bronze mirror hung on the wall. The mirror, gleaming brightly, perfectly reflected the serene garden outside, the clear blue sky, and their own figures standing before it. "Satoshi," the master began, his voice calm and steady, "look into this mirror. Tell me, what do you see? Describe what the mirror contains within itself, what it holds." Satoshi looked intently at the reflection, seeing the vibrant green leaves, the delicate blossoms, the distant mountains, and the wisps of clouds, all perfectly rendered. Satoshi, still pondering the question, replied, "Master, I see the garden, the sky, the trees, and even our own reflections. It contains all these images perfectly captured." Master Ajun nodded gently. "And does the mirror become the garden? Does it become the sky? When we walk away, does it retain our image, clinging to it? Or does it become stained by the colors and forms it reflects?" Satoshi thought for a moment, then answered, "No, Master, the mirror simply reflects. It does not become what it reflects, nor does it hold on to the images. It remains clear, ready to reflect whatever appears before it next, always pristine and untainted by the passing forms, never truly grasping or clinging to any particular image." "Precisely," Master Ajun affirmed, his eyes twinkling with insight. "Your mind, Satoshi, is like this mirror. It perceives thoughts, emotions, sensations, and the external world. It reflects all experiences without becoming them, without holding on to them, and without being stained by them. The problem is not that your mind is full of thoughts, but that you identify with those thoughts, believing them to be who you are, or believing the mirror itself is the images it reflects. You mistake the reflections for the mirror's true nature, when in truth, the mirror remains empty, open, and clear, regardless of what passes through it, always ready to receive the next moment." This profound analogy teaches us about the non-dual nature of mind. The observer, the mirror, and the observed, the reflections, are not truly separate. The reflections are the mirror's activity, yet the mirror itself remains fundamentally unchanged. When we realize this, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them, without judgment, and without the need to control them. They are simply passing phenomena like clouds drifting across an open sky or images appearing in a mirror. Our true nature is the spacious, clear awareness that observes, not the specific content of what is being observed, always remaining free and unconditioned. Understanding the mind as a mirror allows us to cultivate a sense of inner spaciousness and freedom. We can let go of the struggle to empty the mind, recognizing that thoughts and emotions will naturally arise and pass. Instead of fighting them, we can simply observe them with a gentle, non-reactive awareness, allowing them to appear and disappear without grasping or pushing away. This practice of mindful observation without identification gradually reveals the inherent clarity and stillness of our own consciousness, which remains pristine and untouched, just like the mirror's surface, beneath all the passing reflections, always ready for the next experience. As Suzuki Roshi wisely taught, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. This beginner's mind is like the clear, open mirror, ready to receive whatever arises without preconceived notions or fixed ideas. It is a mind that is fresh, curious, and unburdened by past experiences or future expectations, simply present with what is. Embracing this mirror-like quality of mind allows us to experience life with a renewed sense of wonder and directness. If the mind is like a mirror, reflecting all, what then of sounds that defy simple reflection? Sounds that challenge our very way of knowing. The sound of one hand. Clapping. From the clarity of the mind as a mirror, reflecting all phenomena without attachment, we now venture into a core aspect of Zen practice, the koan, and specifically the famous sound of one hand clapping. Koans are paradoxical riddles or stories designed not to be solved through intellectual reasoning, but to exhaust the conceptual mind, pushing it beyond its usual dualistic thinking into a direct, intuitive experience of reality. They challenge our ingrained habits of categorizing, comparing, and defining, forcing us to confront the limitations of language and logic, and opening us to a more immediate, non-conceptual understanding of emptiness and non-duality. This is about sensing truth beyond words. Our story introduces us to a bright and earnest Zen student named Kenji, who had diligently studied the Buddhist scriptures and spent many hours in zazen, or seated meditation. He felt confident in his intellectual understanding of the teachings, believing he could articulate the principles of impermanence, non-self, and emptiness with precision and clarity. Kenji was eager to demonstrate his progress to his master, Master Jinbei, a teacher renowned for his deep wisdom and his challenging, often perplexing koans that pushed students beyond their comfortable intellectual boundaries. Kenji felt ready for any challenge, certain that his logical mind could unravel any mystery presented to him. One quiet afternoon, Master Jinbei called Kenji to his private chambers. The air was still, filled only with the scent of incense and the soft rustling of leaves outside. The master looked at Kenji, his eyes holding a profound depth, and with a gentle yet firm voice, he presented the koan. "Kenji," Master Jinbei began, "you have studied well. Now tell me, what is the sound of one hand clapping?" Kenji blinked, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. He had heard of this koan before, but had never truly grappled with it, dismissing it as a mere philosophical puzzle, something to be pondered abstractly, not directly experienced. Kenji immediately began to reason. He knew that clapping required two hands. One hand alone could not produce the familiar percussive sound. Perhaps, he thought, it was a trick question, a test of his literal understanding. He considered various metaphorical answers: the sound of silence, the sound of inner thought, the sound of the wind. He tried to intellectualize the koan, searching for a clever verbal solution, a logical loophole that would satisfy his master and demonstrate his intellectual prowess. He spent days, then weeks, wrestling with the question, trying to fit it into his established frameworks of understanding, exhausting every possible rational explanation he could conceive. However, every answer Kenji formulated felt inadequate, hollow, and ultimately rejected by Master Jinbei with a simple, knowing shake of his head. The master offered no clues, no guidance other than to continue his inquiry. Kenji grew increasingly frustrated, his mind spinning in circles, trapped by the very logic he had once trusted so implicitly. He meditated for hours, walked for miles, and even tried to physically make a sound with one hand, all to no avail. His intellectual understanding, which he had so confidently relied upon, proved utterly useless in the face of this seemingly simple, yet profoundly perplexing question, pushing him to the very edge of his conceptual limits. One evening, utterly exhausted and defeated, Kenji gave up all attempts to think, to reason, to formulate an answer. He sat by the river, the same river Akiko had observed, and simply allowed his mind to become quiet, his thoughts to dissolve into the vastness of the moment. He stopped trying to find the sound, and instead just listened to the silence, to the gentle rustling of leaves, to the distant croaking of frogs, to the subtle hum of existence itself. In that moment of complete surrender, when his intellectual striving finally ceased, something shifted deep within him. He experienced a profound, wordless understanding, a direct apprehension that transcended all conceptual thought. He returned to Master Jinbei, not with words, but with a simple, profound bow. He raised his empty hand and made no sound, but conveyed an unutterable understanding, a direct, non-conceptual apprehension of reality. Master Jinbei looked at him, a deep smile gracing his lips. "Yes, Kenji," he said, his voice filled with approval. "You have heard it." Kenji had not found a sound in the conventional sense, but he had transcended the dualistic thinking that separates sound from silence, presence from absence, and the self from the non-self. He had experienced the pure, unconditioned reality that lies beyond all labels and distinctions. The koan of the sound of one hand clapping is not about finding a literal answer, but about breaking through the conceptual barriers of the mind. It is designed to shatter our reliance on dualistic thought, which constantly divides the world into opposites: good, bad, self-other, sound, silence. When we exhaust our logical mind, we create an opening for a deeper, intuitive wisdom to emerge, a direct experience of non-duality where all distinctions dissolve into a seamless whole. This is a moment of satori, or sudden enlightenment, a glimpse into the true nature of reality that is beyond words and concepts, a direct taste of the vastness of emptiness. As Hakuin Ikaku, the great Japanese Zen master who famously used this koan, taught, "The sound of one hand clapping is not something to be heard with the ears, but to be heard with the mind, with the whole being." This means moving beyond mere auditory perception or intellectual understanding, and instead directly experiencing the interconnected, non-dual nature of existence. It is about realizing that reality is not a collection of separate parts, but an indivisible whole, where even the absence of a sound can convey a profound truth. This direct apprehension liberates us from the limitations of our conceptual frameworks, inviting us into a more expansive and immediate way of knowing. Having explored the profound challenge of the koan, we now turn to the gentle wisdom of accepting what is, much like a patient gardener tending to their patch of earth. The wisdom of the gardener. Having delved into the profound challenge of the koan and the limits of conceptual thought, we now turn our attention to a more gentle yet equally powerful aspect of Zen practice, the wisdom of acceptance and non-resistance. This teaching encourages us to embrace what is with an open heart, rather than struggling against the natural flow of life. Much like a skilled gardener who understands the cycles of nature and works in harmony with them, we too can learn to observe life's unfolding without judgment, recognizing that every aspect, whether pleasant or unpleasant, plays a role in the greater tapestry of existence. This perspective is rooted in the understanding of non-duality, where even perceived problems are not separate from the solution, but integral parts of the whole. Our story introduces us to an old gardener named Hiroshi, who tended a small, beautiful Zen garden at the foot of a rolling hill. Unlike other gardeners in the village, who often fretted over weeds, complained about too much rain or too little sun, and constantly tried to force nature into their preconceived notions of perfection, Hiroshi worked with a profound sense of peace and acceptance. His movements were slow, deliberate, and deeply meditative, reflecting a quiet reverence for every living thing, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. He understood that the garden was a living, breathing entity, constantly changing, and he approached it not with a desire to control, but with a spirit of gentle cooperation and deep understanding. One day, a young, ambitious student named Takeshi, who had recently arrived at the monastery, observed Hiroshi carefully pulling weeds from a flower bed. Takeshi, full of youthful zeal and a desire for efficiency, remarked, "Master Hiroshi, you spend so much time pulling these stubborn weeds. Why not use stronger methods to eliminate them completely? Imagine how much more perfect the garden would be without their presence, without their constant struggle against the beautiful flowers. We could achieve a state of pure, unblemished beauty, a garden free from any unwanted intrusion, a testament to our control and mastery over nature's wild impulses, making it truly ideal." Hiroshi paused, holding a handful of freshly pulled weeds, their roots still clinging to the rich earth. He looked at Takeshi with a serene gaze. "Takeshi," he replied softly, "these weeds, as you call them, are simply plants growing where we did not intend them to be. They too are life, striving, just like the flowers. If I fight against them with anger or resentment, my heart becomes agitated and my hands become tense. I would be fighting against life itself. Instead, I acknowledge their presence, understand their nature, and gently remove them when necessary, not with aggression, but with mindful care, recognizing their place in the cycle of growth and decay." He continued, "And the rain, Takeshi. Some days it pours, some days the sun beats down relentlessly. If I complain about the rain, I am complaining about the very water that nourishes the plants. If I fret about the sun, I am lamenting the light that allows them to grow. True wisdom, my young friend, is not about wishing for different conditions, but about accepting the conditions as they are and working skillfully within them. The garden teaches me that everything has its season, its purpose, its place in the grand design, even if that purpose is simply to remind me of the impermanence of all things and the futility of resistance. Takeshi watched, fascinated, as Hiroshi carefully laid the pulled weeds aside, some to be composted, some to feed the monastery's animals. He saw that Hiroshi's movements were not those of a man battling an enemy, but of someone engaged in a harmonious dance with nature, a deep respect for every element, even those he chose to remove. The old gardener's face remained calm and untroubled, even as he performed tasks that others might find tedious or frustrating. Takeshi began to understand that Hiroshi's peace did not come from a perfect weed-free garden, but from his perfect, non-resistant approach to the garden as it naturally unfolded, embracing its imperfections. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen principle of acceptance and non-resistance, deeply rooted in the understanding of non-duality. It teaches us that much of our suffering arises not from external circumstances themselves, but from our internal resistance to those circumstances. When we label something as bad or unwanted and fight against it, we create an internal conflict that separates us from the present moment. The wisdom of the gardener lies in recognizing that everything is as it is, without judgment, without the need to impose our will, but rather to respond skillfully and mindfully to the reality before us, just as the gardener works with the soil. This practice extends beyond gardening to all aspects of our lives. When we face challenges, difficult emotions, or uncomfortable situations, the Zen approach is not to push them away or pretend they don't exist, but to acknowledge their presence with a calm and open awareness. Just as Hiroshi didn't wish the weeds away, but gently removed them, we can learn to observe our inner weeds, our worries, fears, or irritations without judgment, and then respond with wisdom and compassion rather than reactive struggle. This allows us to remain centered and at peace, even amidst life's inevitable ups and downs, embracing the full spectrum of our experience. As Thich Nhat Hanh, the revered Zen master, taught, when you embrace your suffering, you transform it. This profound insight underscores the power of acceptance. By not resisting what arises, by holding it with gentle awareness, we integrate it into our experience, rather than allowing it to create division and inner turmoil. The gardener's wisdom reminds us that resisting the natural cycles of growth and decay, pleasure and pain, is ultimately futile. Instead, we can find peace by aligning ourselves with these cycles, flowing with life rather than against it, understanding that every moment, every condition, is part of the rich, interconnected tapestry of existence. From the wisdom of accepting what is, we now turn to the intricate web that binds all things together, revealing the profound truth of our interconnectedness. The weaver's thread. Having understood the liberating wisdom of embracing what is and releasing resistance, we now expand our awareness to the intricate and beautiful principle of interdependence. This core Zen teaching, often called dependent origination, reveals that nothing exists in isolation. Rather, all phenomena arise in mutual dependence upon countless other factors. Just as a single thread, seemingly insignificant on its own, is absolutely essential to the integrity and beauty of an entire woven fabric. Every person, every object, every event in the universe is inextricably linked to everything else. This understanding shatters the illusion of separation and invites us into a profound appreciation for the interconnected web of all existence, where our actions and being resonate throughout the whole. Our story takes us to a bustling village renowned for its exquisite textiles, where the rhythmic clatter of looms filled the air. In one such workshop, a young apprentice named Hannah dedicated herself to learning the ancient art of weaving. She was meticulous and hardworking, but sometimes, in her youthful impatience, she would focus only on her own small section of the loom, seeing her individual thread as the most important, eager to complete her part of the pattern, often overlooking the vast complexity of the entire creation. She viewed her thread as distinct and separate, a solitary entity she was responsible for guiding through the intricate warp and weft. One afternoon, as Hannah diligently worked on a complex pattern, she became frustrated with a particular thread that seemed to be causing difficulty, tangling slightly and disrupting the smooth flow of her work. Impulsively, and with a touch of annoyance, she considered simply cutting that troublesome thread, believing it would simplify her task and improve the overall appearance of her section, making it more orderly and perfect. She thought, what difference could one tiny thread make to this vast tapestry? Surely its absence would go unnoticed, and my work would proceed more smoothly without its stubborn resistance, allowing me to focus on the more prominent and seemingly important parts of the design, ensuring a quicker completion. Master Kaito, the wise old weaver who oversaw the workshop, had been quietly observing Hannah. He gently approached her, his hands, calloused from years of working the loom, moving with quiet grace. He noticed her frustration and the small pair of scissors clutched in her hand, poised to snip the recalcitrant thread. "Hannah," he said softly, his voice a calm murmur above the rhythmic clatter. "What troubles you, my child?" Hannah explained her predicament, her voice tinged with impatience, gesturing towards the problematic thread and articulating her desire to simply remove it for the sake of efficiency and perceived perfection. Master Kaito listened patiently, then took her hand and guided it gently towards the intricate fabric, still partially on the loom. "Look closely, Hannah," he instructed. "Observe this tapestry not just as individual threads, but as a complete work. Do you see how each color, each texture, each tiny twist of yarn relies on every other thread to hold its place, to give it form, to contribute to the overall strength and beauty of the design? Even the most delicate or seemingly insignificant thread is indispensable. If you were to cut just one, even this troublesome one, what would happen to the integrity of the whole? What would become of the pattern, the strength, the very essence of the fabric?" Hannah looked, truly looked, at the fabric with new eyes. She traced the path of the threads, seeing how they intertwined, supported, and defined each other. She realized that removing even one thread, no matter how small or frustrating, would unravel not just her section, but potentially weaken the entire fabric, creating a flaw that would spread. The pattern would lose its coherence, the texture its richness, and the whole piece would be compromised. The seemingly insignificant thread was, in fact, vitally connected to every other thread, a tiny but essential part of the grand, interwoven design, contributing to its overall strength and beauty. This profound insight revealed the truth of interdependence. Hannah understood that the fabric's beauty and strength did not come from individual, separate threads, but from their intricate and inseparable relationship, their mutual reliance. Each thread, in its very being, was dependent on all the others, and the whole was dependent on each part. There was no true separation, only a seamless, interconnected web of existence where everything supported everything else. Her perspective shifted from seeing a collection of individual threads to perceiving a unified, living whole, where every element played a crucial, irreplaceable role. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen concept of interdependence or dependent origination. It teaches us that nothing in the universe has an independent existence. Everything arises in dependence upon other things and in turn influences countless others. Our own existence, our very breath, is dependent on the air, the trees, the sun, the water, and countless other factors. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions similarly arise from a complex web of causes and conditions, and in turn influence the world around us. There is no isolated self or thing. There is only interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully coined it. Understanding interdependence profoundly shifts our perspective from a self-centered view to a more expansive, compassionate awareness. When we see ourselves as inextricably linked to all beings and all phenomena, our sense of separation dissolves. We realize that harming another is ultimately harming ourselves, and caring for another is caring for ourselves. This deep recognition fosters a sense of responsibility and connection, encouraging us to act with greater kindness, wisdom, and environmental consciousness, knowing that our well-being is intrinsically tied to the well-being of the whole. As Buddha taught, when this is, that is. From the arising of this, that arises. When this isn't, that isn't. From the cessation of this, that ceases. This fundamental teaching of dependent origination reminds us that all phenomena are conditionally arisen, without any inherent, independent self. Just as the weaver's thread finds its meaning and purpose within the larger tapestry, we too find our true nature within the vast, interconnected web of existence. This interconnectedness is not a mere concept, but a living reality, inviting us to see the boundless potential of our own consciousness, which is as vast and open as the sky itself. The limitless sky. Building upon our understanding of interdependence and the intricate web that connects all things, we now turn our gaze towards the vastness of our own consciousness, perceiving it as the limitless sky. This powerful metaphor in Zen Buddhism helps us comprehend emptiness not as a void, but as an expansive, open, and unconditioned awareness that holds all experiences without being defined or limited by them. Just as the sky remains vast and pristine, regardless of the clouds, storms, or clear blue expanse that pass through it, our true nature of mind remains fundamentally pure and boundless, untouched by the transient phenomena of thoughts, emotions, and sensations. This realization invites us to rest in this inherent spaciousness, finding a deep sense of freedom and unshakable peace. Our story introduces a seeker named Ryu, who had journeyed far and wide, traversing mountains and crossing deserts in search of profound wisdom. He had read countless scriptures, listened to many teachers, and engaged in deep philosophical debates, yet he still felt a persistent longing, a sense that he was missing a fundamental truth, a direct experience of the enlightenment he read about. Ryu was searching for a specific path, a secret teaching, a hidden gate that would unlock the ultimate understanding, believing that wisdom was a treasure to be found somewhere external, a tangible object to be acquired after much effort and searching. After many years of diligent searching, Ryu finally heard whispers of a reclusive sage, Master Genjo, who lived high in the mountains, known for his profound simplicity and his ability to guide seekers to direct insight. With renewed determination, Ryu embarked on the arduous climb, his heart filled with a mix of hope and anticipation. He imagined Master Genjo would reveal a complex doctrine, a profound meditation technique, or perhaps a secret mantra that would immediately grant him the enlightenment he so desperately craved, believing that the path to wisdom must be elaborate and difficult, commensurate with the profoundness of the goal. Upon reaching the secluded hermitage, Ryu found Master Genjo sitting peacefully under the vast open sky, gazing out at the distant peaks. Ryu bowed deeply, his voice filled with reverence and a touch of urgency. "Master," he implored, "I have traveled for years, seeking the path to true understanding, to enlightenment. Please, Master, show me the way. Point me to the truth that will liberate my mind and bring me lasting peace. I am ready for any instruction, any practice, no matter how difficult, if it will lead me to the ultimate reality, to the wisdom that transcends all suffering and confusion." Master Genjo turned his gaze from the horizon to Ryu, a gentle, knowing smile gracing his lips. He said nothing, but simply raised his hand and slowly, deliberately, pointed upwards, towards the boundless expanse of the blue sky above them. Ryu, initially confused, followed the master's gesture. He looked up, expecting to see a bird, a cloud, or some specific celestial phenomenon that held a symbolic meaning. But there was nothing specific, only the vast, empty, yet utterly present sky. He looked back at the master, still searching for a more concrete answer, a clearer instruction, a tangible direction, unable to grasp the simplicity of the gesture. Master Genjo, sensing Ryu's intellectual struggle, spoke softly, his voice echoing the spaciousness of the sky itself. "The path you seek, Ryu, is not a path to somewhere, but a realization of what is always present. Your mind, your true nature, is like this sky. It is vast, boundless, and open. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, and all experiences are like the clouds that drift through it. They appear, they move, and they disappear. But the sky itself remains untouched, unstained, and fundamentally unchanged by their passing. It does not become the clouds, nor is it diminished by their presence or absence. It is always the spacious container." Ryu sat in silence for a long time, gazing at the sky, then back at the master, then at the sky again. Slowly, a profound understanding dawned upon him. He had been searching for something within the clouds, or beyond the sky, when the truth was the sky itself, the vast, open, accommodating awareness that was his own mind, his true nature. The thoughts and emotions that had troubled him were merely passing phenomena, like temporary weather patterns, not the fundamental essence of his being. He realized that peace was not found by eliminating the clouds, but by realizing he was the sky, always present, always free. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen teaching that our true nature of mind is like the limitless sky. It is a vast, open, and clear awareness that is inherently free from all conceptual constructs and emotional turmoil. While our minds may be filled with thoughts and feelings, worries and joys, these are merely temporary conditions, like the ever-changing weather patterns in the sky. They arise within the spaciousness of our awareness. They linger for a time, and then they pass away, leaving the fundamental clarity and boundlessness of our consciousness completely undisturbed and untainted by their fleeting presence. Embracing this perspective allows us to cultivate a profound sense of inner freedom and resilience. We learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them, without being swept away by their currents. We recognize that I am not my thoughts and I am not my feelings. Instead, we are the vast open container, the awareness itself that holds these experiences. This realization is deeply liberating, as it frees us from the constant struggle to control or suppress our inner landscape, allowing us to rest in the natural, unconditioned peace that is always available within us, like the endless blue above. As Pema Chodron, a contemporary Buddhist teacher, beautifully states, "The sky is not bruised by the clouds." This powerful image perfectly captures the essence of our limitless mind. Our true nature, our inherent awareness, is never damaged, diminished, or defined by the challenges, pains, or confusions that pass through our experience. It remains whole, vast, and pure, always available as a source of strength and peace. This understanding invites us to let go of our narrow conceptions of self and embrace the boundless, open space of our being. If our consciousness is as boundless as the sky, what then is our individual self in relation to this vastness, the wave and the ocean? Having contemplated the limitless sky as a metaphor for our expansive consciousness, we now delve deeper into the concept of non-duality by exploring the relationship between the wave and the ocean. This powerful analogy helps us understand that our individual self, with its unique form and experiences, is not separate from the universal, interconnected ground of being. Just as a wave, despite its distinct shape, movement, and temporary existence, is fundamentally made of the ocean and inseparable from it, we too are individual expressions of a larger, unified reality. This teaching dissolves the illusion of a separate I and invites us into a profound realization of our inherent unity with all life, an experience of being both unique and universally connected. Our story takes us to a small, picturesque fishing village nestled by the vast, shimmering sea. A wise old fisherman named Haruto, whose face was weathered by sun and wind, spent his days on the ocean, intimately familiar with its every mood and mystery. His young grandson, Kenji, often accompanied him, fascinated by the rhythm of the waves and the endless expanse of the water. Kenji, like many, saw the waves as distinct entities, some small and gentle, others grand and powerful, each with its own beginning and end, separate from the seemingly flat underlying body of water. He perceived them as individual events, distinct from the ocean itself. One blustery afternoon, as they watched the powerful waves crash against the shore, Kenji, with wide, curious eyes, asked his grandfather, "Grandfather, where do the waves come from? And where do they go when they disappear? Are they born from the ocean? And then do they die, becoming nothing?" Each wave seems so strong and independent, rising up and then vanishing, almost as if it has its own life, separate from the vastness of the water, a fleeting moment of existence that comes and goes, leaving no trace behind, only the memory of its momentary grandeur and power. Haruto smiled, his gaze fixed on the rolling sea. "My dear Kenji," he began, his voice calm and steady, "the waves do not come from the ocean as if they are separate creations, and they do not truly disappear when they break upon the shore. Look closely. A wave is simply a movement, a temporary form that the ocean takes. It is made entirely of water. It is moved by the ocean's energy, and when it disappears, it simply returns to being the ocean itself, its form dissolving back into the larger body of water, never truly separate for even a single moment. It is merely a temporary manifestation of the ocean's dynamic energy, an expression of its ceaseless motion and boundless power." Kenji pondered his grandfather's words, his eyes now tracing the rise and fall of the waves with a new understanding. He began to see that the distinction between a wave and the ocean was not absolute, but conceptual. The wave was not other than the ocean. It was the ocean, expressing itself in a particular form for a brief time. Its individuality was an illusion of perception, a temporary appearance, while its fundamental reality was the vast, continuous body of water from which it arose and to which it returned. The wave had no separate self or independent existence apart from the ocean. It was always and only the ocean. And so it is with us, Kenji, Haruto continued, drawing the profound parallel. We too are like waves. We have our individual forms, our unique lives, our distinct experiences, our personal stories. We feel like separate selves, born and destined to eventually disappear. But just as the wave is made of the ocean, we are made of the universal consciousness, the vast, interconnected ground of being. Our individual lives are temporary expressions, unique movements within this boundless reality. We are not separate from it. We are it, manifesting in a particular form for a time, always connected, always one with the greater whole, never truly isolated. This powerful analogy of the wave and the ocean is a cornerstone of non-dual teaching in Zen. It helps us transcend the illusion of a separate, isolated self and experience our profound unity with all of existence. We are both unique individuals, like distinct waves, and simultaneously the boundless, undifferentiated ocean of being. There is no fundamental separation between me and not me, between the individual and the universal. This understanding dissolves the ego's grip, which thrives on separation and distinction, and opens us to a deeper, more inclusive sense of self, a self that is vast and interconnected, free from the confines of personal identity. Embracing the wisdom of the wave and the ocean brings a profound sense of liberation and peace. When we realize we are not merely isolated waves, but expressions of the infinite ocean, our fears of loss, separation, and even death begin to diminish. We understand that while our individual form may change and eventually dissolve, our fundamental essence, our true nature, is eternal and boundless, like the ocean itself. This allows us to live with greater courage, compassion, and a deep sense of belonging, knowing that we are always intimately connected to the source of all life, never truly alone, never truly separate. As Alan Watts, with his characteristic clarity, expressed it, "You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing." This beautiful statement encapsulates the essence of non-duality. We are not merely in the universe, we are the universe, expressing itself in our unique form. This realization connects us to a vast and timeless reality, inviting us to live with a sense of wonder and deep peace. From the profound unity of the wave and the ocean, we now bring this awareness back to the simplicity of our daily lives, particularly to the quiet, mindful act of walking the path attentively. From the profound understanding of the wave and the ocean, recognizing our interconnectedness with the universal, we now bring this expansive awareness into the simplicity of our daily lives through the practice of mindful presence. Zen Buddhism emphasizes that enlightenment is not a distant ethereal state achieved only through arduous spiritual practices, but rather a way of being fully present in each ordinary moment. This teaching invites us to integrate non-duality into our everyday actions, transforming the mundane into the sacred. It is about waking up to the richness of just this, just now, finding profound peace and clarity in the simple act of doing whatever we are doing, with complete and undivided attention, allowing the universe to express itself through our every step. Our story features a revered Zen master, Master Koji, known throughout the land not for grand pronouncements or miraculous feats, but for his profound simplicity and the quiet radiance that surrounded him. People from all walks of life would journey to his humble monastery, seeking his wisdom, hoping he would reveal some secret, complex path to enlightenment. They expected intricate teachings, esoteric rituals, or arduous practices that would transform them into enlightened beings, believing that such a profound state must be achieved through extraordinary effort, far removed from the ordinary routines of daily existence. One day, a group of eager students gathered around Master Koji, their faces earnest and expectant. One student, bolder than the others, asked, "Master, we have heard tales of your deep enlightenment. Please, tell us, what is the secret? What special practices did you undertake to achieve such profound peace and wisdom? What is the unique path, the hidden technique that allowed you to transcend ordinary suffering and attain this extraordinary state of being? We are ready to dedicate ourselves to any rigorous discipline, any complex ritual, if it will lead us to the same liberation you embody, to the same unwavering tranquility that emanates from your very presence." Master Koji looked at them, a gentle smile playing on his lips, his eyes reflecting a deep, unperturbed calm. He paused for a moment, then replied in his soft, measured voice, "When I eat, I eat. When I sleep, I sleep. And when I walk, I walk." The students exchanged bewildered glances. They had anticipated a profound esoteric teaching, a revelation of hidden truths, or a complex set of instructions. Instead, they received what seemed to be a series of utterly mundane statements, actions they performed every single day without any special thought or spiritual significance, leaving them feeling profoundly confused and somewhat disappointed by the apparent simplicity of his answer, which seemed to offer no secret at all. One student, bolder still, voiced their collective confusion. "But Master," he pressed, "we also eat, sleep, and walk. Yet we do not possess your profound peace or your clear understanding. What is the difference? Surely there must be something more, some hidden meaning in your words, some deeper practice you are not revealing to us. For our eating, sleeping, and walking are often filled with distraction, worry, and a constant stream of unrelated thoughts, far from the tranquility we witness in you." He felt a sense of injustice, as if the Master was withholding the true key to enlightenment. Master Koji nodded, acknowledging their confusion. "Ah," he said, "the difference is this. When I eat, I am truly eating. My mind is fully present with the taste, the texture, the nourishment. When I sleep, I am truly sleeping, resting deeply without agitation. And when I walk, I am truly walking, feeling each step, aware of the ground beneath my feet, the air on my skin, the movement of my body. My mind does not wander to yesterday's worries or tomorrow's plans. It is simply here, now, in the act itself, completely unified with the experience, without any division between myself and the action, without any mental overlay. This simple teaching points to the essence of mindfulness and non-duality in daily life. It is not about what we do, but how we do it. When we are fully present in each activity, without distraction or mental commentary, we dissolve the illusion of separation between ourselves and the action. The act of eating becomes simply eating, without an I who is eating. The act of walking becomes simply walking, without an I who is walking. This is the integration of non-duality into the fabric of our everyday existence, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for profound insight and peace, a seamless flow of being. This practice of walking the path attentively invites us to bring a conscious, undivided awareness to every moment. Whether we are washing dishes, drinking tea, listening to a conversation, or simply breathing, we can choose to be fully present, allowing our entire being to merge with the activity. This isn't about striving for perfection, but about cultivating a gentle, sustained attention that notices when the mind wanders and then kindly brings it back to the present task. With each return, we strengthen our capacity for presence, gradually dissolving the mental chatter that often pulls us away from the richness of the here and now. As Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen master who popularized walking meditation, taught, "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." This beautiful image captures the essence of bringing reverence and full attention to the simple act of walking. It transforms a mundane movement into a sacred dance, a profound connection with the earth and with our own bodies. By walking attentively, we not only cultivate inner peace, but we also become more attuned to the interconnectedness of all things, grounding our spiritual understanding in the tangible reality of each step. From the attentive steps on the path, we now turn to the profound wisdom of letting go, encapsulated in the gentle metaphor of the empty boat. The empty boat. From the mindful presence of walking the path attentively, integrating non-duality into our everyday actions, we now shift our focus to a deeper aspect of liberation. The wisdom of letting go of blame, judgment, and the rigid attachment to a fixed sense of self, beautifully illustrated by the metaphor of the empty boat. This Zen teaching invites us to observe how much of our suffering arises from projecting intentions, identities, and narratives onto ourselves and others. When we realize the emptiness of these projections, much like encountering a boat that is simply empty, our anger, resentment, and self-clinging often dissipate, revealing a deeper, more peaceful way of relating to the world. Our story unfolds on a wide, calm lake where a solitary man named Takeshi enjoyed rowing his small boat. Takeshi was known for his quick temper and his strong sense of personal ownership. His boat was his prized possession, meticulously cared for, and he guarded it fiercely against any perceived threat or intrusion. He viewed his boat as an extension of himself, and any damage or disrespect towards it was taken as a personal affront, igniting his anger swiftly and intensely. He believed his boat, and indeed all his possessions, were solid, independent entities, and he felt a strong, almost protective attachment to them. One serene morning, Takeshi was rowing leisurely across the lake, enjoying the quiet solitude and the gentle lapping of the water against his boat. He was lost in his own thoughts, savoring the peace of the moment. Suddenly, from around a bend in the shoreline, another small boat drifted into view. It was untethered, moving slowly with the current, directly on a collision course with Takeshi's boat. Takeshi watched, his irritation beginning to simmer. He called out, "Hey, watch where you're going! You're going to hit my boat!" But there was no response, only the silent, inexorable drift of the approaching vessel. As the other boat drew nearer, Takeshi's anger began to escalate. His voice grew louder, sharper. "Are you deaf? Turn your boat. You're going to damage my property." His heart pounded with frustration, his jaw clenched, and his grip tightened on his oars. He felt a surge of indignation, convinced that someone was carelessly, perhaps even maliciously, steering their boat directly into his, showing a profound lack of respect for his personal space and his cherished possession. He was ready to confront the offending party, to demand an apology, to assert his rights with all the force he could muster. The two boats collided with a gentle bump, a soft thud that was far less dramatic than Takeshi's internal storm. In that very instant, as his anger reached its peak, Takeshi leaned over to shout at the person in the other boat, but as he peered inside, he saw nothing. The boat was completely empty. There was no one at the oars, no one to blame, no one to shout at, no one to hold responsible for the collision. It was simply an empty vessel, drifting aimlessly with the current, an innocent object moved by impersonal forces, without intention or malice, utterly devoid of any conscious operator. In that moment of realization, Takeshi's intense anger immediately deflated. All the fury, all the indignation, all the blame he had been projecting onto an imaginary person simply vanished. There was no one to be angry with. The object of his wrath was empty of a self or an intention to harm. He understood with the sudden clarity that his suffering had not come from the collision itself, which was minor, but from his own mental projections, his assumption of a malicious agent, and his rigid attachment to his boat as mine. The empty boat revealed the emptiness of his own projected narrative, freeing him from his self-created suffering. This story, a classic Zen anecdote, beautifully illustrates the profound wisdom of the empty boat and its connection to non-duality. It teaches us that much of our anger, frustration, and suffering arises when we project a solid self or a malicious intention onto others or onto impersonal events. When we encounter an empty boat, a situation or person devoid of a fixed, separate self or harmful intent, our usual reactive patterns of blame and judgment often dissolve, revealing the emptiness of our own mental constructions. The problem was not the boat, it was Takeshi's mind creating a story. This practice encourages us to inquire, is there truly a self to blame here? Is there a fixed, independent entity with malicious intent? Or is this simply a confluence of impersonal causes and conditions, like the wind and current moving an empty boat? By cultivating this perspective, we begin to see that much of our interpersonal conflict and inner turmoil stems from our deeply ingrained habit of solidifying phenomena, of creating us and them, and of attributing fixed identities and intentions where none truly exist in a permanent sense. This realization brings a profound sense of peace as the need for blame dissipates. A Zen saying beautifully encapsulates this lesson. If you are rowing across a lake and another boat rams into you, and it is an empty boat, you will not get angry. But if there is a person in the boat, you will get angry. This highlights how our perception of a self in the other is often the trigger for our emotional reactions. The wisdom of the empty boat invites us to see all beings and events with this same open, non-judgmental awareness, understanding that much of what troubles us is empty of inherent malice or fixed identity. From the quiet acceptance that comes from releasing blame, we now turn to the profound silence that lies beyond all conceptual understanding, the truth revealed by the silent bell. The silent bell. From the wisdom of the empty boat, which teaches us to release blame by recognizing the emptiness of fixed identities and intentions, we now turn to an even deeper realm of understanding, the truth that lies beyond conceptual comprehension, revealed through the profound metaphor of the silent bell. Zen Buddhism often points to the ineffable, to that which cannot be captured by words or thoughts, but must be directly experienced. This teaching invites us to move beyond our constant need to define, categorize, and intellectualize, and instead to open ourselves to the direct, intuitive insight that arises in the space of silence, in the pure, unconditioned awareness that precedes all mental activity. Our story takes us to a quiet Zen monastery nestled deep within a bamboo forest. Within its serene grounds stood an ancient, beautifully crafted bronze bell, whose resonant tones had marked the passage of time for generations of monks. The bell's sound was deep and clear, a powerful vibration that permeated the entire monastery, calling practitioners to meditation, marking the beginning and end of daily tasks, and serving as a constant reminder of the present moment. The monks cherished its sound, recognizing its ability to cut through mental chatter and bring a momentary stillness to their busy minds, a sacred sound that was an integral part of their spiritual practice, a connection to the timeless. One day, Master Ryokan, a venerable Zen teacher known for his subtle and profound methods, gathered his students in the meditation hall. He then struck the ancient bell with a wooden mallet. The deep, rich tone reverberated through the hall, slowly fading into the profound silence that followed. The students sat in quiet contemplation, savoring the lingering vibrations and the stillness that enveloped them, each experiencing the sound and its aftermath in their own unique way, allowing the resonance to settle deep within their being, feeling its powerful yet gentle presence. After a few moments of complete silence, Master Ryokan looked at his students. "Tell me," he asked, his voice soft but clear, "what is that sound? Describe its essence, its true nature." The students, eager to demonstrate their understanding, offered various descriptions. One said, "It is the vibration of bronze." Another offered, "It is the sound that calls us to meditation." A third suggested, "It is a manifestation of impermanence, appearing and then disappearing." Each tried to capture the sound with words, with concepts, with intellectual understanding, attempting to define its essence through their learned knowledge and personal interpretations. Master Ryokan listened patiently to all their answers, a subtle smile playing on his lips. He then raised his hand, gesturing towards the space where the sound had just been, now filled only with profound stillness. "And what of the silence that follows?" he asked, his gaze encompassing each student. "What is that silence? Is it merely the absence of sound, or is it something more? Can you describe its true nature, its essence, with words? Does it have a form, a color, a specific definition? Or is it something that can only be experienced directly, beyond all conceptual frameworks, beyond all attempts to grasp or define it with the limited tools of language and thought?" The students fell silent, their previous eagerness replaced by a deeper contemplation. They realized that while they could describe the sound with words, the silence that followed defied easy categorization. It was not merely nothing, it was a vast open presence, a profound stillness that contained everything, and yet was nothing specific. It was the ground from which the sound arose and to which it returned, the unconditioned space that held all phenomena. They understood, in that moment, that the deepest truth was not in the conceptual understanding of the sound, but in the direct, non-conceptual apprehension of the silence that permeated their being. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen teaching that the most profound truths often lie beyond the realm of conceptual thought and linguistic description. While words and concepts are useful tools for communication and initial understanding, they can also become barriers, preventing us from experiencing reality directly. The silent bell points to that ineffable, unconditioned awareness that is our true nature, the vast emptiness that is full of potential, the ground of all being that cannot be grasped by the intellect, but only directly realized through intuitive insight and deep, non-conceptual presence. This practice invites us to cultivate a mind that is open and receptive to what is, without the immediate need to label, judge, or analyze. It is about learning to rest in the don't know mind, allowing ourselves to be present with experience as it is, before our thoughts rush in to interpret and categorize. In this space of non-conceptual awareness, a deeper wisdom can emerge, a direct insight into the interconnectedness and impermanence of all things, an understanding that transcends the limitations of our dualistic thinking, revealing the unity of all experience. As Dogen Zenji, the founder of Soto Zen, taught, to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 things. This profound statement points to the liberation that comes from transcending the conceptual self and merging with the direct experience of reality, much like the silence that embraces the sound of the bell. In forgetting the self, we become one with the 10,000 things, experiencing the world without the filter of ego. From this profound silence, we now move to the purity of direct experience, unburdened by any preconceived notions, much like tasting water for the very first time. The taste of pure water. Following our exploration of the silent bell and the truth that transcends conceptual understanding, we now turn to the importance of direct experience, free from judgment or labels, beautifully conveyed by the metaphor of the taste of pure water. Zen Buddhism emphasizes that true wisdom comes not from accumulating knowledge or intellectual concepts, but from engaging with life directly, freshly, and without the filter of our preconceived notions. This teaching invites us to strip away our mental overlays and simply be with what is, allowing ourselves to encounter each moment with the pristine clarity of a beginner's mind, tasting the pure essence of reality without adding any mental flavor. Our story introduces a weary traveler named Akio, who had journeyed for many days across arid lands, his body aching and his throat parched. He carried with him a mind filled with theories about water, its chemical composition, its properties, its various forms, and the different tastes he had encountered in his travels. He had read extensively about springs, rivers, and wells, and considered himself knowledgeable about the subject, believing that his intellectual understanding of water was comprehensive and that he knew all there was to know about it, reducing the direct experience to a mere concept. Finally, Akio arrived at a remote Zen hermitage, seeking not only physical refreshment but also spiritual guidance. He found Master Hoshi, a wise and venerable Zen teacher, sitting by a natural spring, its waters bubbling up from the earth with pristine clarity. Akio, his voice raspy, expressed his desperate need for water. Master Hoshi, with a compassionate smile, offered him a simple, unadorned wooden cup filled with the crystal-clear water from the spring. The water shimmered, reflecting the sunlight, inviting him to drink. Akio gratefully took the cup, his hands trembling slightly with anticipation. Just as he was about to drink, Master Hoshi gently stopped him. "Before you drink, Akio," the master said, his voice soft but clear, "I ask you to do something challenging. Describe the taste of this water to me, but without using any words you already know, any labels you have learned, or any comparisons to other waters you have tasted before. Simply taste it and tell me what it is, purely and directly, without relying on your accumulated knowledge or preconceived notions, as if you are tasting water for the very first time in your entire life." Akio paused, the cup held to his lips. He had always described water as cold, refreshing, sweet, or pure. Now, with those familiar words forbidden, he found himself utterly at a loss. He took a small sip, allowing the water to linger on his tongue. His mind, accustomed to immediately categorizing and labeling, struggled to find a new way to articulate the experience. He noticed the subtle coolness, the way it quenched his thirst, the almost imperceptible texture. But how could he describe these without using any existing concepts? He realized the profound difficulty of experiencing something truly freshly, without the filter of his learned mind, without the intellectual baggage. After a long moment of silent contemplation, Akio took another deeper sip, letting go of the struggle to find words. He simply allowed himself to be with the sensation, to fully experience the water's presence, its life-giving quality, its simple yet profound essence. In that moment of pure, unconditioned experience, free from all mental commentary, a profound sense of clarity and peace washed over him. He realized that the true taste of the water was not in any word or label, but in the direct, unmediated experience itself, in the pure sensation of its coolness, its wetness, its thirst-quenching power. He looked at Master Hoshi, his eyes now shining with a new understanding, a deep, wordless recognition. He had no words to describe it, and yet he understood everything. The master smiled, knowing that Akio had tasted not just the water, but the essence of direct experience, the truth that lies beyond concepts. Akio had encountered the water as it truly was, not as his mind thought it was, shedding the layers of intellectualization that often obscure our direct perception of reality, allowing the pure essence of the moment to shine through, unadulterated and pristine. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen teaching on the importance of direct experience in the beginner's mind. We often approach life with a mind already full of ideas, expectations, and judgments based on past experiences and learned concepts. This mental overlay prevents us from truly seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and feeling the present moment as it is. The taste of pure water invites us to strip away these layers, to encounter each moment freshly, as if for the very first time, without the filter of our conditioned mind, without adding any mental flavor to the pure, unadulterated essence of reality itself. This practice encourages us to cultivate a sense of open curiosity and wonder, approaching every experience with a fresh perspective, free from the burden of our accumulated knowledge and preconceived notions. It is about letting go of our need to always know or understand with the intellect, and instead trusting our direct, intuitive perception. When we can taste the water purely, without labels, we are experiencing non-duality, the seamless unity of the experiencer and the experienced, where the mental division between subject and object dissolves, revealing the profound simplicity and richness of being. As Suzuki Roshi taught, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. The beginner's mind is like the palate that tastes pure water without prejudice, open to whatever arises, without the limitations of past experience. It is a mind that is fresh, receptive, and unburdened by fixed ideas, allowing for direct, unmediated insight into the nature of reality. This openness allows us to encounter the world with a sense of wonder and presence, revealing the profound beauty in the ordinary. From the pure taste of direct experience, we now turn to an even deeper inquiry into our own origins, asking, what was our true nature before any experience, before any conditioning? What was our original face, the original face? From the direct experience of pure water, unburdened by labels, we now delve into one of the most profound and challenging koans in Zen Buddhism. What was your original face before your parents were born? This koan is not a literal question about our physical appearance or lineage, but a radical inquiry into our fundamental nature, our true self, before any conditioning, before any personal identity, before any concepts of me or mine arose. It points directly to the emptiness of a fixed individual self and invites us to experience the unconditioned, non-dual reality that precedes all forms and distinctions, urging us to look beyond the superficial layers of our conditioned existence. Our story begins with a young, earnest monk named Jinbei, who had dedicated years to intense meditation and diligent study. He had gained a deep intellectual understanding of Buddhist philosophy, mastering complex texts and engaging in profound discussions about emptiness, impermanence, and non-self. Jinbei felt that he was on the verge of a breakthrough, that enlightenment was within his grasp, believing that his extensive knowledge and rigorous practice had prepared him for the ultimate spiritual revelation. He often pondered deeply on the nature of his own identity, trying to conceptualize what his self truly was, seeking a definitive answer. One day, Jinbei approached his master, Master Ryoshin, with a confident air, ready to discuss his latest insights into the nature of the self. He presented his carefully constructed arguments, explaining how the self was an aggregation of interdependent phenomena, constantly changing, without a fixed essence. He believed he had finally grasped the intellectual understanding of anatta, or non-self, and was eager to receive his master's affirmation, expecting praise for his diligence and intellectual prowess, convinced that he had unraveled the complex philosophical puzzle of personal identity. Master Ryoshin listened patiently, his gaze calm and unwavering. When Jinbei finished his elaborate explanation, the master simply smiled, a gentle, knowing expression on his face. He then posed a question that instantly cut through all of Jinbei's intellectual constructs, shattering his carefully built edifice of conceptual understanding. "Jinbei," the master asked, his voice soft but resonant, "what was your original face before your parents were born?" The question hung in the air, a profound silence enveloping the space between them, challenging everything Jinbei thought he knew. Jinbei was utterly stunned. His mind, so adept at logical reasoning and philosophical analysis, suddenly found itself confronted with a question that defied all intellectual categories. How could he possibly answer such a thing? Before his parents were born, he did not exist in any conventional sense. There was no physical body, no personal history, no name, no identity. All his carefully constructed theories about the self, which relied on existing within the framework of birth and personal experience, suddenly seemed utterly irrelevant and incapable of addressing this fundamental inquiry into his pre-personal existence, leaving him in a state of profound bewilderment. He struggled for days, then weeks with the koan. He meditated, he read, he thought, but every attempt to grasp it intellectually led only to frustration and confusion. His mind, accustomed to finding answers within the realm of concepts, could not find a single reference point for a face that existed before birth. He tried to imagine a formless void, a pre-conscious state, but these too were concepts, mental constructs that failed to capture the direct, unconditioned reality that the koan was pointing to, pushing him to the very edge of his conceptual understanding, to a place where words simply ceased to function. Finally, exhausted and defeated by his intellectual striving, Jinbei surrendered. He let go of all attempts to think, to reason, to formulate an answer. He simply sat in profound stillness, allowing his mind to become utterly open and receptive. In that moment of complete intellectual cessation, when all concepts dissolved, a direct, intuitive insight arose within him. He experienced a profound sense of boundlessness, a recognition of an unconditioned awareness that was his true nature, existing prior to any form, any identity, any birth. It was not a thing he could point to, but a direct apprehension of pure, unconditioned being, an emptiness full of potential. He returned to Master Ryoshin, not with words, but with a deep bow, his eyes shining with a quiet understanding. He had no verbal answer, but the master, seeing the profound transformation in Jinbei's demeanor, nodded, a knowing smile on his face. Jinbei had seen his original face, not a physical face, but the unconditioned, non-dual reality that is our true nature, free from all personal and conceptual limitations. He had realized the emptiness of a fixed, individual self and experienced the boundless, interconnected ground of being that is prior to all distinctions, a profound liberation from the confines of ego. This koan, what was your original face before your parents were born, is a powerful invitation to transcend the illusion of a separate, fixed self. It points directly to our unconditioned nature, the boundless awareness that is prior to all personal identity, all conditioning, all forms. It is not asking us to imagine a time before our birth, but to realize the timeless, empty, yet fully present nature of our consciousness, which is always here, always now, untainted by the transient phenomena of individual existence. This realization is a profound glimpse into non-duality, where the individual and the universal are seen as one. Embracing the wisdom of the original face liberates us from the heavy burden of trying to maintain and defend a fixed, separate self. It allows us to see through the illusion of ego, recognizing that our true nature is vast, open, and interconnected with all of existence. This understanding brings a deep sense of freedom, peace, and compassion. As we realize that we are not merely isolated beings, but integral parts of the grand dynamic dance of the universe, expressions of the one reality. This profound insight invites us to live with greater authenticity and a deeper sense of belonging. From this timeless, unconditioned essence, we now turn to the vibrant, interconnected dance of all existence, a beautiful tapestry where everything inter-is with everything else. The dance of interbeing. Building upon the profound inquiry into our original face, which points to our unconditioned pre-personal nature, we now turn to the vibrant and dynamic reality of interbeing. This concept, popularized by Thich Nhat Hanh, deepens our understanding of non-dualism by emphasizing that nothing exists independently. Everything is intimately interconnected and co-arises with everything else. It is not merely that things are connected, but that they literally inter-are, meaning that each phenomenon contains and reflects all others, engaged in a continuous, intricate dance of mutual creation and transformation. This perspective dissolves the illusion of separate entities and invites us to experience the world as a seamless, living whole, a grand, unfolding choreography of life. Our story takes us to a lush, ancient Zen garden, meticulously cared for by Master Sora, a teacher whose wisdom was as deep and rooted as the ancient trees he tended. In this garden, life unfolded in myriad forms: towering cedars, delicate cherry blossoms, vibrant moss, and tiny, industrious insects. Master Sora spent countless hours observing the garden, not just as a collection of individual plants, but as a living, breathing ecosystem, a complex web of relationships where every element played an indispensable role in the flourishing of the whole, a dynamic interplay of growth and decay, life and death. One crisp autumn morning, a young, observant student named Yumi sat with Master Sora, watching the golden and crimson leaves gently fall from the trees, carpeting the ground in a vibrant display. Yumi felt a pang of sadness, perceiving the falling leaves as a sign of decay, of an ending, a loss of the tree's vitality. She saw the leaves as separate entities, distinct from the tree, and their falling as a final separation, a moment of individual demise. She wondered about the cycle of life and death, and how it related to her own sense of self and its eventual impermanence, feeling a sense of melancholy at the transient nature of beauty. Master Sora, sensing Yumi's quiet contemplation and the subtle sadness in her gaze, spoke softly. "Look closely, Yumi, at these falling leaves. Do you see them as dying, as separate from the tree, as merely ending?" Yumi nodded slowly. "Yes, Master. They are falling, turning to dust. It feels like an ending, a separation from their source, a final departure from the life-giving branches that once sustained them, a small death within the grand cycle of the garden, a moment of loss in the vibrant tapestry of life and growth." Master Sora gently picked up a fallen leaf, its surface still vibrant with color. "This leaf, my dear Yumi," he explained, "is not truly separate from the tree, even now. And the tree, in turn, is not separate from the sunlight that nourishes it, the rain that quenches its thirst, the soil that holds its roots, or even the air we breathe. This leaf, in its very being, contains the sun, the rain, the earth, and the sky. And when it falls and returns to the earth, it does not truly die. It transforms, becoming nourishment for the soil, feeding the very tree it came from, and giving rise to new life, new leaves, new possibilities." He continued, "This is the dance of interbeing. Nothing simply is by itself. A cloud inter-is with the sun and the ocean. A flower inter-is with the seed, the soil, the rain, and the gardener's care. You, Yumi, inter-are with your parents, your teachers, the food you eat, the air you breathe, and every experience that has shaped you. There is no independent self, no separate thing. Everything is a manifestation of everything else, a continuous, interconnected flow of existence, a grand and intricate choreography where every element is both dancer and dance, part of the seamless whole." Yumi looked at the garden with new eyes. She saw the fallen leaves as part of a continuous cycle, not an end. She understood that the tree's life was dependent on the leaves, and the leaves' life was dependent on the tree, and both were dependent on countless other elements. The sadness she felt began to dissipate, replaced by a profound sense of wonder and connection. She realized that everything in the garden, and indeed in the universe, was in a constant state of mutual creation and transformation, a beautiful and intricate dance where no single entity could claim independent existence. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen concept of interbeing. It extends the idea of interdependence by emphasizing that not only do things depend on each other, but they actually contain each other. A leaf, for example, is not just connected to the sun. It is the sun, the rain, the earth, and the air manifested in leaf form. This radical understanding dissolves the illusion of separate entities and reveals the world as a dynamic, seamless whole. where every part is intimately woven into the fabric of every other part, a continuous living tapestry where nothing is ever truly isolated or alone. Embracing the dance of interbeing brings a profound sense of unity, compassion, and responsibility. When we truly see that we inter-are with all beings, all phenomena, our sense of separation dissolves, and our actions naturally become more mindful and caring. We understand that our own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the planet, of other species, and of future generations. This realization moves us beyond egocentric concerns to a more expansive, ecological, and deeply compassionate way of living, recognizing our fundamental unity with all life, a shared existence. As Thich Nhat Hanh, the master who coined the term, explained, "You are a cloud, a river, a forest, a bird, and a fish. You are everything and nothing." This poetic statement perfectly captures the essence of interbeing. In our individual form, we are also the totality of the universe, expressing itself. There is no static self apart from this dynamic, interconnected dance. This profound understanding invites us to live with open hearts and minds, celebrating the continuous flow of life. From this expansive dance of interbeing, we now gently bring our awareness to the immediacy of the present moment, recognizing that true peace is found in just this, just now. Just this, just now. From the expansive dance of interbeing, where we recognize our profound interconnectedness with all life, we now gently bring our awareness to the immediacy of the present moment. Zen Buddhism emphasizes that true peace, liberation, and insight are not found in the past, which is gone, or in the future, which has not yet arrived, but only in the pure, unadulterated experience of just this, just now. This teaching invites us to release our mental clinging to regrets, anxieties, and expectations, and instead to fully inhabit the richness of the current moment, allowing the non-dual reality of here and now to reveal itself in its pristine simplicity, free from any conceptual overlays. Our story takes us to a bustling village tea house, a place usually filled with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of cups. Amidst the lively atmosphere, a quiet Zen monk, Master Kenzo, often sat, sipping his tea with an air of profound serenity. He was known for his calm presence and the simple, yet deeply insightful answers he gave to those who sought his wisdom, often cutting through their complex questions with a single direct observation. People often wondered how he maintained such inner peace amidst the constant clamor and demands of daily life, always appearing grounded and completely at ease. One day, a young merchant named Haru, perpetually stressed and anxious about his business ventures, approached Master Kenzo. Haru was constantly planning for the future, regretting past decisions and worrying about potential failures. He rarely experienced a moment of true peace, his mind always racing, always elsewhere, never truly settled in the present. He saw the master's tranquility and yearned for it, believing it to be a secret formula, a specific technique that would finally grant him an escape from his relentless internal turmoil, a path to lasting contentment, an end to his constant mental suffering. "Master," Haru implored, his voice tight with worry, "I am constantly seeking happiness, but it always seems to elude me. My mind is a whirlwind of thoughts about what I should have done, what I need to do, and what might go wrong. How can I find the peace you possess? What is the secret to enduring happiness, to a mind that is truly free from the relentless grip of worry and regret? A state where I can finally rest without the constant pressure of past burdens and future anxieties, a profound and lasting sense of joy." Master Kenzo looked at Haru with compassionate eyes. He took a slow, deliberate sip of his tea, fully present with the warmth of the cup and the subtle aroma of the leaves. Then he placed the cup down gently and simply pointed to the space around them, to the quiet hum of the tea house, to the steam rising from the teacups, to the gentle light filtering through the window, to the very air they breathed. "Haru," he said, his voice soft yet clear, "the secret to happiness is simply this. Just this, just now." Haru looked bewildered. "Just this, just now," he repeated, his brow furrowed in confusion. "But Master, what does that mean? How can just this, just now bring me happiness when my mind is so full of other things, of worries and plans that seem far more significant and demanding than the simple act of being here? I am always striving for something more, something better, something different from what is present. My happiness seems to depend on achieving future goals or correcting past mistakes, not on merely existing in this very moment, which often feels mundane or even unpleasant." Master Kenzo nodded. "Precisely, Haru. Your mind is always elsewhere. When you are drinking tea, you are thinking of your business. When you are with your family, you are thinking of your worries. You are never truly here, never truly now. Happiness is not found in the past or the future, for those are merely concepts. Happiness is found in the direct, unmediated experience of this very moment, exactly as it is, without adding anything, without subtracting anything, without wishing it were different. When your mind is fully present with just this, then just this becomes complete, whole, and utterly sufficient." Haru sat in silence, letting the master's words sink in. He looked at his own cup of tea, then at the steam, then at the subtle patterns of light on the table. For the first time, he truly saw the tea, truly felt the warmth of the cup, truly heard the gentle sounds of the tea house, without his mind immediately jumping to a future task or a past regret. A profound sense of calm began to settle within him, a quiet peace he hadn't realized was possible, a deep release from the relentless grip of his habitual mental patterns, a sudden awareness of the richness of the present moment, previously obscured by his constant striving. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen teaching that true peace and happiness are found in the radical acceptance and full embodiment of the present moment. Our minds are often caught in a dualistic trap, constantly dividing our experience into past, present, and future, or wishing for things to be different from what they are. This creates a perpetual state of dissatisfaction, always chasing an elusive future happiness or dwelling on unchangeable past events. Just this, just now, invites us to dissolve these mental divisions and simply be with what is, recognizing that the present moment is always complete, always sufficient, always inherently perfect. This practice encourages us to bring our full, undivided attention to whatever we are doing, to whatever is arising in our experience, without judgment or resistance. When we are eating, we are just eating. When we are breathing, we are just breathing. When we are feeling sadness, we are just feeling sadness. By fully inhabiting each moment, we dissolve the mental narratives that create suffering and discover the inherent peace and richness that is always available in the now. This is the non-dual realization that the present moment is not separate from ultimate reality. It is ultimate reality, unfolding in its pristine, unconditioned form. As Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. This timeless wisdom perfectly encapsulates the essence of just this, just now. It is a profound invitation to liberation, freeing us from the self-imposed prisons of time and mental commentary. By fully engaging with the present, we discover that every moment holds the potential for profound peace and clarity, a direct experience of awakening. From this profound immersion in the present, we now turn to the idea of freedom from fixed paths and rigid beliefs, recognizing that the way to peace is always open, like an inviting gate. The open gate. From the liberating wisdom of just this, just now, where we fully embrace the present moment as the gateway to peace, we now turn our attention to the Zen teaching of the open gate. This metaphor speaks to the freedom from fixed paths, rigid beliefs, and exclusive doctrines, emphasizing that the way to awakening is not confined to a single, narrow entrance, but is always open, always accessible, and ultimately found within our own open heart and mind. It dissolves the dualistic notion of a right way versus a wrong way, inviting us to release our attachments to specific methods or ideologies and to trust in the inherent wisdom that arises from an open, non-judgmental awareness, a path that is always present. Our story introduces a devoted seeker named Hiroshi, who had spent many years diligently following a specific spiritual tradition. He believed firmly that there was one true path to enlightenment, one sacred gate that, once found and entered, would lead him to ultimate liberation. He meticulously studied ancient texts, followed strict rituals, and engaged in rigorous practices, always searching for the definitive sign, the secret key that would unlock this exclusive gate, convinced that only through this precise adherence could he achieve the profound peace he so deeply craved, and that any deviation from this prescribed path would lead him astray. Hiroshi heard tales of a reclusive Zen master, Master Kensho, who lived deep in the mountains, known for his unconventional wisdom and his ability to guide students to profound insights. Believing Master Kensho held the key to the true gate, Hiroshi embarked on a difficult journey, convinced that this master would finally reveal the secret, unique entrance to enlightenment that had eluded him for so long. He imagined a grand, ornate gate, perhaps guarded by ancient wisdom, and that Master Kensho would provide him with the precise instructions, the secret password, or the specific ritual needed to pass through its sacred threshold and attain ultimate liberation. After days of arduous travel, Hiroshi finally reached Master Kensho's humble hermitage, a simple dwelling nestled amidst towering pines. He bowed deeply, his voice filled with reverence and a touch of desperation. "Master," he implored, "I have searched for years for the true gate to enlightenment. I have followed many paths, but I still feel I am outside, longing for entry. Please, Master, show me where this gate is. Guide me to its sacred entrance, so I may finally pass through and realize the ultimate truth, to find the peace and freedom that lies beyond its threshold." Believing that such a profound transformation required a specific, physical entry point. Master Kensho looked at Hiroshi, his eyes reflecting a deep, compassionate understanding. He remained silent for a long moment, then slowly rose and walked to the entrance of his simple dwelling. He gently pushed open the wooden gate, which was already ajar, revealing the path that led directly into his small, unassuming garden. He then turned to Hiroshi, a soft smile on his lips, and simply gestured towards the open gate. "Hiroshi," he said, his voice calm and clear, "the gate you seek has always been open. There is no secret entrance, no hidden key. It is simply here, always available, always accessible, waiting for you to walk through it." Hiroshi stared at the open gate, then back at the master, then at the gate again. He had expected something grand, something mystical, something hidden. Instead, he saw a simple, ordinary wooden gate, already open, leading to a familiar garden path. All his preconceived notions of an exclusive, difficult-to-find entrance shattered. He realized that he had been so focused on searching for a special gate, a secret path, that he had overlooked the profound simplicity of what was always present, always available. The gate was not a barrier to be overcome, but an invitation to step into the present moment, to simply enter the reality that already existed. This story beautifully illustrates the Zen teaching that the path to awakening is not an exclusive or hidden one, but is always open and accessible to all. The open gate symbolizes the freedom from dogmatic clinging to specific beliefs, methods, or traditions. It reminds us that enlightenment is not about finding an external key or following a rigid doctrine, but about cultivating an inner openness, a willingness to simply step into the reality of what is with a clear and accepting mind. There is no outside to get in. We are always already within the gate, within the boundless reality of non-duality, if we only recognize it. This practice encourages us to release our attachments to fixed ideas about how things should be or how our spiritual journey must unfold. It invites us to trust our own inherent wisdom and to find the path in every moment, in every experience, without the need for external validation or rigid adherence to a particular system. The open gate is a metaphor for the expansive, non-judgmental awareness that is our true nature. Always available, always welcoming, always leading us deeper into the truth of emptiness and non-duality, a path that is not separate from life itself. As Pema Chodron wisely observes, the path to freedom is open. There is no single path. There are as many paths as there are people. This profound statement reinforces the wisdom of the open gate, reminding us that our journey is unique and that liberation is not found by conforming to a single prescribed way, but by cultivating an inner openness and trust. The gate is open, inviting us to step into the fullness of our own experience, free from the confines of rigid expectations. From this liberating sense of an open path, we now turn to the most fundamental and intimate aspect of our existence, the very breath that connects us to all of life, the gentle breath of emptiness, the breath of emptiness. From the liberating wisdom of the open gate, recognizing that the path to peace is always accessible and free from rigid doctrines, we now bring our journey to its most intimate and fundamental point, integrating the understanding of emptiness and non-duality into the very awareness of our breath. The breath is a perfect metaphor for impermanence and non-self. It is constantly changing, never truly ours, and yet it is the very essence of life, connecting us to the universal flow. This teaching invites us to observe the breath not as an individual possession, but as a universal process, arising and dissolving, a continuous expression of the boundless, interconnected reality that is our true nature. Our story brings us back to a quiet meditation hall, where Master Hiroshi, a teacher known for his gentle guidance and profound insight into the simplicity of existence, gathered his students. He had taught them much about the nature of mind, the illusion of self, and the interconnectedness of all phenomena. Now he wished to guide them to a direct, embodied experience of these teachings, to ground their intellectual understanding in the most fundamental and accessible aspect of their lives, the act of breathing, a constant rhythm that often goes unnoticed in its profound simplicity. "Students," Master Hiroshi began, his voice soft and calming, "we have explored many concepts: the emptiness of the bowl, the flow of the river, the vastness of the sky. Now, let us bring this wisdom to the most intimate aspect of our being, our breath. Sit comfortably, allowing your body to settle, and simply observe the breath. Do not try to control it. Do not try to change it. Just feel it as it is, flowing in and flowing out, a natural rhythm that sustains your very existence, a silent dance of life. The students closed their eyes, turning their attention inward, focusing on the sensations of their breath. Some noticed the coolness of the air entering their nostrils, others the gentle rise and fall of their abdomen, still others the subtle expansion and contraction of their chest. Their minds, initially restless, gradually began to settle into the rhythmic flow, finding a quiet anchor in the continuous, effortless movement of inhalation and exhalation, a soothing repetition that brought a sense of calm. After a few moments, Master Hiroshi spoke again, his voice a gentle invitation. Now consider this. Is this breath truly your breath? Do you own it? Can you hold on to it indefinitely? Or is it simply a universal process, a continuous exchange between your body and the vast atmosphere? A flow that arises and dissolves moment by moment without a fixed owner or a permanent form. Feel how the air enters and leaves, never truly belonging to you, but merely passing through. A borrowed gift from the interconnected web of life, a constant reminder of our shared existence. The students deepened their observation. They began to perceive the breath not as a personal possession, but as a universal phenomenon, a continuous loop connecting them to the trees, the ocean, the sky, and all other living beings. The I that was breathing began to dissolve, replaced by the direct experience of breathing itself, an impersonal, selfless process. They realized that each inhalation was a gift from the vastness of the world, and each exhalation was a release back into that same vastness, a seamless flow of giving and receiving, a profound dance of interbeing expressed in every single breath. This profound realization brought a sense of lightness, a release from the subtle tension of owning the breath. They understood that just as the clouds drift through the sky without belonging to it, their breath flowed through their bodies without truly being theirs. It was a constant reminder of impermanence and non-self, a direct, embodied experience of emptiness, not as a void, but as an open, dynamic capacity for life to flow through. The breath became a living koan, a continuous pointer to the interconnected, non-dual nature of their existence, a silent teacher within. This practice of observing the breath of emptiness is a powerful way to integrate all the Zen teachings we have explored. It grounds the concepts of impermanence, non-self, and non-duality into a direct, bodily experience. When we perceive the breath as a universal flow, rather than a personal possession, we dissolve the illusion of a separate self. We realize that the breather and the breathed are not two distinct entities, but two aspects of the same seamless process, a continuous dance of arising and dissolving, an intimate expression of our profound connection to all of life. This practice encourages us to release our subtle clinging to control, to let go of the idea that we are the doer of the breath. Instead, we rest in the wisdom of simply allowing the breath to breathe itself, trusting in the natural intelligence of the body and the universe. This brings a deep sense of surrender and peace as we align ourselves with the effortless flow of existence. In this surrender, we find not a loss of self, but an expansion into a boundless awareness, a direct experience of the vast, open, and empty nature of our true being, which is always present, always breathing, always connected. As Ajahn Chah, the revered Thai forest master, taught, the mind is like a clear, still forest pool. The breath is like the stream that flows into it. Just let it flow. This beautiful analogy captures the essence of allowing the breath to simply be, without interference, without ownership, without judgment. In this effortless observation, we discover the profound peace that lies beyond all doing, all striving, all conceptual understanding. The breath becomes our gentle guide, leading us deeper into the silent wisdom of our own empty, yet full, nature. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, allow yourself to drift into a state of profound rest, embracing the deep peace that resides within you. Now, as our journey through these Zen stories and teachings gently concludes, allow your awareness to settle back into your body, feeling the weight of your limbs, the softness of your clothing, the gentle rhythm of your breath. There is nothing more you need to do, nowhere you need to go. You are here in this moment, and that is profoundly enough. This space, this present moment, holds all the wisdom you have explored, all the peace you have cultivated. Let go of any lingering thoughts or concepts, any effort to understand or grasp. Simply rest in the quiet, knowing that your true nature is vast, open, and interconnected, like the limitless sky, like the boundless ocean. You are inherently whole, complete, and perfect, just as you are. Allow yourself to gently drift into a state of deep relaxation, knowing that this inherent peace is always available, always within you. As you prepare for sleep, release all burdens of the day, all worries of tomorrow. Allow your body to soften, your mind to quiet, your breath to deepen naturally. Trust in the natural process of rest, knowing that your body and mind are designed for profound restoration. You are safe. You are held. You are deeply cherished. If these words have offered you a moment of peace, a whisper of insight, or a sense of gentle comfort, remember that this sanctuary is always here for you. If you wish to return to this quiet space, to rediscover this inner calm, please consider subscribing to keep this harbor of peace close at hand. May your sleep be deep and restorative, filled with the boundless peace of your own true nature. May you awaken feeling refreshed, renewed, and connected to the quiet wonder of simply being. Rest well, beloved one.